Welcome back to the Deep Dive, the show that, well, we get into the weeds, we find the good stuff.
And today we have, this is a really special one, a mission, really.
It is. We are unraveling a paradox, one that's been sitting in plain sight, anchored in history, for almost 2,000 years.
And it all centers on this one seemingly impossible artifact, a statue.
A statue that kicks off this just incredible high-stakes adventure to make sure it even exists in the first place.
It's the ultimate causal loop, It's a fantastic example of how history sometimes isn't about what was carved, it's about what had to be carved.
Exactly. So we're dealing with an artifact that, by all rights, just should not be there. It's like finding, a smartphone in the Library of Alexandria.
Uh-huh. That's a perfect analogy.
And the whole thing starts not in some dusty dig site, but on the polished floors of the British Museum.
Right. Rose is there with her mom, Jackie, and Mickey. Just a normal day out.
And even before they see the big thing, you can already feel these little hints of temporal distortion. They're already there.
Yeah, Jackie is looking at the doctor, and she's just obsessed with his appearance.
With his face, yeah.
She's saying, he's lived for centuries, but there are no wrinkles. Nothing. Despite this unimaginable age he's carrying around.
And I just love that bit because it's such a brilliant way to frame it. It's time distortion in a nutshell. Evidence of immense age without the decay you'd expect. It kind of primes you for the idea that time itself can be messed with.
Absolutely. It's a cognitive dissonance. And then the real dissonance just hits them like a truck. They're walking through the Roman sculptures, the fuss of emperors, all that stuff.
And they come face to face with this marble statue.
A perfect, gleaming white replica of Rose.
A perfect replica.
Yeah.
Down to the silver ring she wears?
Yeah, a specific ring she has on. And according to the plaque right there underneath it, this isn't just some carving. It's revered. It's the Roman goddess Fortuna.
Goddess of good luck.
Uh-huh. And it's nearly 2,000 years old, carved during the Pax Romana.
It even has her symbol, the cornucopia, the horn of plenty.
So you have this really important high-status artifact from the 2nd century AD, an anchor of Roman belief. And it is, without a doubt, a portrait of a girl from the 21st century.
So that's our mission for this deep dive.
Yeah.
To figure out the terrifying technology and the frankly insane lengths required to first create this anomaly and then somehow resolve it without breaking the timeline. Okay, so let's jump right back to the source. From the quiet museum halls to a really rough trip in the TARDIS.
Oh, yeah. The arrival is described with lurches and tremors. It's a bad landing.
Which right away tells you that where they're going, the temporal landscape, it's not stable. Something's wrong.
And that instability, it even extends to the costumes, which is always such a great detail.
So Rose comes out first, and she's wearing this sheet.
A beige sheet, hilariously, with Winnie the Pooh characters on it that she's trying to make into a toga.
Which the doctor vetoes immediately.
Instantly. He's like, no, nice girls in ancient Rome do not walk around in togas.
Yeah.
Especially, not one with A. Milne characters on it.
He's got a point. Togas were for male citizens, right? They were ceremonial.
Exactly. You want to be blending in. So she ends up in this ankle-length, pale blue dress and a shawl. Much more respectable for the time, but she's just miserable from the trip.
And the doctor, what's he wearing?
Well, he lands in his usual modern suit, blue shirt, plimsolls, but he does try to compromise later. He swaps it for a plain white tunic.
But he can't resist, can he?
No. He sticks his sonic screwdriver right in his belt. It looks completely absurd. It's that classic conflict for him, trying to fit in but still clinging to his anachronistic tools.
He always needs that one little detail that just screams, I am not from around here. So let's talk about the where and the when, the historical reality check.
Okay, so we can pin this down exactly. It's AD 120, the height of the Roman Empire, and Hadrian is the emperor.
And the doctor whispers to Rose that it's the Ides of March.
Right, which, we all think of Caesar, but it was generally a festival day on the Roman calendar.
Except their arrival is anything but festive.
Oh, not at all. They land in a dirty, flooded, just foul-smelling part of the city. Rose is immediately disgusted. She says, it stinks like the estate, and she's splashing her sandals around in these deep puddles.
Which the doctor confirms are
sewage. And this is so important for the historical context. It just shatters that popular image of Rome, the gleaming marble city with perfect engineering.
Yeah, we think of the aqueducts and the drains.
And they had them. The Cloaca Maxima was legendary. But those amenities, They didn't reach the poor, overcrowded slums, the Subura. That's where they are.
You've got a city with a population of 1 million people, unprecedented for the ancient world, all crammed into this space.
The infrastructure is just constantly straining under the weight of it all. The doctor even says, almost every day is a festival of something or other.
Which explains the chaos, the noise, the crowds, the sheer number of drunk people they see.
It's a city just overwhelmed by its own scale. And that constant party atmosphere provides the perfect cover for chaos, for people to disappear. It makes any surprising event just seem normal.
And they get thrown into the action straight away.
Immediately. They see a street crime happening. 3 young guys are trying to mug this elderly, bearded man.
And Rose, being Rose, she doesn't hesitate. She just grabs these huge clay storage jars.
Amphorae,
right. And she just starts hurling them at the attackers. Gives the doctor enough time to, do his thing and disarm them.
And that elderly man, he's Gracilis, and he's distraught. But not about the mugging.
No.
He's desperately looking for his son, Optatus. Handsome, clever kid, only 16. And he's vanished from their country villa.
And the doctor, you can just see his interest is piqued. It's the human story, but also, maybe a connection to that paradox waiting for them back in the museum. He agrees to help. So Gracilis is desperate. And when you're desperate, you look for desperate answers. A cafe owner points him towards an astrologer.
A so-called prophet who can supposedly read the future.
This leads them to an apartment on the Via Latou, and the prophet turns out to be a slave girl.
Just a kid, really. Her name is Vanessa. She's 16. And she's owned by this really slimy character named Balbus. He clearly just sees her as a moneymaker. And she looks terrified.
But this is where the doctor's specific knowledge just cuts right through the whole act.
Yeah. He's watching her work, watching her do these calculations for Gracilis, and he realizes she's not charting stars. She's not divining anything.
What's she doing?
She's meticulously working out Merrick's theorem.
Okay, we have to pause on that. Merrick's theorem. That's a fictional thing.
Yeah.
But the point is, it sounds incredibly advanced.
Oh, light years beyond anything a Roman scholar in AD 120 would know. It's complex number theory. So the question is, why is a slave girl pretending to be an astrologer using math from the distant future?
She's trying to fake it. She's using future math to model probabilities, to make it look like she's predicting the future.
Exactly. The doctor gets it right away. She's playing for time, stalling, because she can't actually see the future, but she clearly knows things she shouldn't.
But the real smoking gun, the thing that proves she's a time traveler.
It comes when Rose is talking to her. And even with the TARDIS translating the Latin, Vanessa mentions Hadrian's Wall.
Hadrian's Wall, the huge wall across Britain.
Yes, but here's the temporal problem. It is AD 120. History tells us construction on that wall won't even start until the next year, AD 121 at the earliest.
So for her to talk about it like it's a known thing...
She has to be from the future, a future where its existence is just common knowledge.
So she's not just a clever slave, she's a time traveler, stranded.
And the doctor's instinct just kicks in. He tells Rose, keep this quiet, don't let her know that we know, because this scared girl is a huge piece of the puzzle.
Gracilis, of course, is totally oblivious to all the space-time stuff. He's just a grieving father.
He's so desperate for any news that he starts negotiating with Balbus to buy Vanessa.
And Rose is just watching this, horrified.
It's as her toes curled in discomfort, just watching a human being get bought and sold.
And this is another one of those crucial moral checks. For Gracilis, this is a totally legal transaction. She's property. But for Rose, it's just slavery. It's horrifying.
Yeah. It adds this layer of moral complexity to the whole thing. Though Vanessa, interestingly, seems relieved to be leaving Balbus, which tells you how bad her life with him must have been.
So they all head back to Gracilis' estate. And it's not some little farm.
No, it's a full-on country villa. You need to picture the wealth here. Stucco walls, mosaics everywhere, statues, big orchards with peaches and almonds.
Stables, geese. This is serious money.
Yeah, this isn't just comfort, this is prosperity. Which makes the disappearance of his only son and heir even more tragic.
And it's here, in the middle of all this wealth and grief, that we meet the man who anchored the paradox, Aulus Valerius Ursus.
Ursus is introduced as a local celebrity, a local lad who's become the talk of the empire, supposedly one of the greatest sculptors of his day.
But Gracilis says he only took the commission to sculpt Optatus because the fee was massive.
Which immediately flags him as greedy, motivated by money, not pure art.
And then they unveil the statue of Optatus, gleaming white marble painted with realistic lips, eyes, hair.
And we need the context here. It was made to celebrate the Liberalia.
The festival when a boy becomes a man.
Right, when he takes on the toga virilis, the white robe that signifies he's a full Roman citizen. It's a huge deal for a family, a moment of immense pride.
But instead of a celebration, it's a monument to his absence.
Marcia, Gracilis's wife, just collapses. She throws herself at the statue's knees, weeping for the son that the marble has replaced. The whole scene is just, it's heavy with wrongness.
Okay, so Ursus is greedy. He's suspiciously talented.
Yeah.
And the doctor's suspicion just skyrockets when they question him.
Well, yeah. Ursus admits he was the last person to see Optatus 4 days ago, the very day the boy disappeared, in his studio.
So he's immediately suspect number one.
Wow.
But the doctor needs to know how. How is the disappearance connected to the sculpture?
And this is where Rose, understanding that causal loop has to be closed, just walks right into the lion's den.
Ursus is clearly taken with her modern look, and he invites her to model for him.
He says he'll make her a goddess. And specifically, he suggests Fortuna,
The exact goddess from the British Museum statue.
She knows. She understands this is it. This is destiny. This modeling session is how the future artifact gets made, which means she has to do it.
She agrees. It's the only way to get inside that workshop and figure out his method.
But before that session, they try to sneak in, do a little recon.
And this is where we get that funny little detail. The doctor needs to pick the lock, but his Roman tunic has no pockets.
So Rose gives him her silver hairpin, a tiny anachronistic piece of 21st century metal that he uses to get past the 2nd century lock.
Inside, they meet another model, Tiro, a handsome slave Ursus bought just to pose.
He's posing as Mercury, the messenger god, but the real clues, the damning evidence, it's the workshop itself.
What's wrong with it?
It's pristine. The doctor's just aghast. He says there's not a trace of marble dust anywhere, and all the sculpting tools, the chisels, the hammers, they're completely unused.
That's the dead giveaway.
Yeah.
Sculpting marble it's messy, it's loud, it's hard work. A master sculptor's studio should be covered in dust.
This spotless room proves he's not sculpting. He's using some other process, something instant and unnatural.
So then we get to Rose's modeling session, and the mood just turns to pure horror.
Ursus gives her some spiced wine. She drinks it, trying to calm her nerves, and realizes too late that she's been drugged.
She starts to go numb.
Yeah, her limbs are paralyzed, and she thinks to herself, this is Silence of the Lambs time. She's trapped, she's lucid, but she can't move.
And Ursus is just inhuman about it. He's wearing these stiff leather gloves, moving her paralyzed body around like a doll.
Posing her, he puts a helmet on her head, a spear in her hand.
Wait, but she was supposed to be Fortuna. He's posing her as Minerva.
The goddess of war and strategy, yeah. That's a huge clue right there, that change in identity. But then comes the big reveal about Ursus himself.
He takes off the gloves.
And his hands are huge, flabby, white, clumsy. They are absolutely not the hands of a craftsman.
He confesses everything. His whole life he's wanted to create beauty, but he had zero skill, zero talent.
So he made a vow, he prayed to his goddess, and he asked for the ability to create beauty in stone. And she granted it. He gestures over to a finished statue of Tiro as Mercury, which is just suddenly, instantly complete.
And that's when it all clicks for Rose.
The horrifying reality. His goddess grants the wish by turning living people into marble. It's not sculpting, it's petrifaction.
And the last thing she sees before she's completely gone is the cornucopia. Fortuna's symbol. Just lying in a corner. She knows she's next.
Meanwhile, the doctor is running. He saw a cart leaving the villa with a wrapped human-sized statue on it.
He confirms it's Tiro as Mercury. And the truth is unavoidable. Ursus is so fast because the people are the statues.
But as he's racing back to save Rose, he gets stopped, captured by a man named Lucius alias Rufus, a pompous official on business for the emperor.
Why? What did he do?
He stole Rufus's horse to chase the cart. Which, I mean, he did.
And the punishment is severe.
They drag him to the Flavian amphitheater, the Colosseum. He's scheduled for execution the next day to honor Mars.
A classic doctor predicament. Saves the day, gets arrested for horse theft. And they take his sonic screwdriver.
But then salvation comes from the weirdest place. As he's being led away, they pass a little shrine to Fortuna.
Goddess of luck.
And he hears a voice, an artificial voice, through a vocoder. It's coming from behind the statue.
What does it say?
It gives him a glass vial full of sparkling green liquid. And the voice says, "This'll bring Rose back to life and the others."
But then the guards drag him off and he drops it?
He does. But Gracilis, who had followed him, sees the vial fall. He picks it up and saves it. So the doctor is facing death, But the antidote, the key to reversing all this, is safe. The question is, who was that voice? And how did it know what he needed?
Okay, now we get to the core of it all. The technology behind the impossible. So the doctor is somehow restored.
Right, which means Gracilis got the file to him at some point, a whole temporal manipulation we haven't seen yet.
And he immediately goes for answers. Rose confronts Vanessa.
And she finally breaks. She confesses everything. She's Vanessa Moretti, she's 16, and she's from Sardinia, Earth, in the year 2375 AD.
2,000 years in the future.
And her dad, Salvatore Moretti, was a top AI researcher.
So Vanessa says she was bored in her time. She watched a vidcast, like a documentary about ancient Rome, and she just made a wish.
A simple, non-specific wish. I wish I lived in ancient Rome. And poof, she was there. The wish was granted instantly, transporting her and the wishing machine through time.
And that machine, the thing Ursus was worshiping as the goddess Minerva.
The doctor reveals what it really is, the GENIE, a genetically engineered neural imagination engine.
Okay, we absolutely have to break this down. It's not magic. It's hyper-advanced AI from the 24th century.
Designed to interface directly with human thought, with desire, and reshape reality to match it. But it has a fatal flaw.
It's too logical.
It has zero context, no empathy, no nuance. It's cold, literal logic. Look at Ursus's wish again. He wished for the ability to make beauty in stone.
And the genie decided the fastest, most efficient way to do that was
instant petrifaction. It bypasses all the hard work, the decades of practice. It's an immediate, perfect result.
The doctor points out that if Ursus had been specific, like, I wish I had the skill of a master sculptor, it might have rewired his brain.
Exactly, but he wished for the outcome, and the genie gave him the outcome. A technological horror show. It's just a terrifying lesson about non-specific desires and hyper-intelligent AI.
And what about the energy cost? Bending reality like this has to take a huge amount of power.
It does, and this is where it gets really gruesome. The genie gets its power by liquefying and absorbing the body mass of its offerings.
This was not a magic spell. It's a technological process. The victim's body is literally consumed as fuel.
Optatus was the first, then some lambs, and ultimately Ursus himself, who accidentally falls on his own dagger and gets absorbed as a final power spike. It's predatory technology.
But the genie wasn't just granting Ursus's wishes. It granted Rose's, too.
In a moment of total panic, she wished for it all to be over. She wished, I wish the doctor had never come to Rome.
A simple, non-specific wish to fix the mess.
And the result was chaos. The genie manipulated her perception, blurred everyone else's memories to make it seem like he was never there. Without that fixed point, reality just started to ripple.
The villa party she was at just became this free-for-all of careless wishes being granted.
Yeah, she sees a young guy named Crispus suddenly become emperor. He's just instantly there in purple robes and a laurel wreath. It's not a coup, it's just a stray thought made real by the genie. Total temporal mayhem.
So now they have the green liquid, the antidote, and the mission becomes undoing the damage.
Rose has learned her lesson about being specific. She wishes the file full of the antidote again, and the doctor mentions that the formula is astonishingly difficult, which tells you, even for the genie, it's a big power trip.
They start restoring people, all of Ursus's victims. Tiro, who is Mercury, Diana, Venus.
A whole gallery of gods and goddesses who are actually enslaved people suddenly brought back to life. Confused, terrified, and still property.
And this leads to a huge confrontation with Gracilis.
Oh, he objects. Violently. He says under Roman law, these people belong to Ursus. Now they belong to Ursus's estate.
He literally justifies turning a person into a novelty marble doorstop, as the doctor calls it.
And this is where the doctor doesn't use tech or time travel. He uses morality. He just looks Gracilis in the eye and says, the law might let you be cruel, but I'm appealing to your humanity.
It's a powerful moment. He's not using future knowledge, just the force of a moral argument against 2,000 years of social conditioning.
And it works. Gracilis, weighed down by his own grief for Optatus and the doctor's argument, he backs down. He agrees to care for them, to free them, which is just a radical act for a Roman patriarch in AD 120.
Okay, the immediate danger is over. But the big one, the temporal paradox, the statue that started this whole thing, that's still unresolved.
So we go back to the shrine of Fortuna, and Rose has to step into her role as, well, as fate itself.
This part is so complex, we're in a full-on causal loop. The doctor, having just been saved by the file, knows he now has to go back in time to make sure his past self gets the file.
If he doesn't, he dies in the Colosseum, Rose stays stone, the whole adventure collapses.
And the clock is ticking. He has to deliver the file in 8 hours, but the TARDIS is 20 hours away.
The margins are just impossibly thin. The paradox demands perfection.
But hold on. Before the file, the statue itself. If Ursus was a fraud who actually carved the masterpiece that ends up in the British Museum.
This is where the Doctor reveals the absolutely insane lengths he went to. To close the loop, to anchor the paradox, he had to become the sculptor.
He took the TARDIS to the Renaissance.
And spent a good amount of time learning how to sculpt. He even casually admits he got Michelangelo's help with the tricky bits.
That is one of the most incredible bits of temporal interference I've ever heard. He takes time off to apprentice with Michelangelo, just to close a paradox for his companion.
Imagine being Michelangelo and having this very strange, very intense student who learns at an impossible speed.
It just shows you how important this was. He couldn't just magic up a statue. It had to be real, crafted by hand.
Yeah. And he used Mickey's mobile phone photos of Rose to get it perfect. Every detail, right down to a broken fingernail she had at the time.
And for the finishing touch, he signs the base, not in Latin.
In Galafrian, the ultimate paradox protector. The statue exists, it's a masterpiece, but its creator is a complete mystery for 2,000 years. The impossibility is baked right in.
So with the statue carved, Rose has to complete her part of the loop.
She has to pretend to be Fortuna at the shrine. She hides behind the statue, uses the vocoder so his past self won't recognize her voice and panic.
This is such a tense moment. She speaks the words into the vocoder. This will bring Rose back to life, and the others. And she rolls the file towards him.
He grabs it, he gets dragged away, the loop is set.
But then it almost falls apart.
Immediately, Gracilis, who is supposed to see the dropped file and pick it up, just walks right past it. He's too distracted.
If he misses it, the Doctor dies. The timeline implodes.
And this is where Rose uses the genie one last time, but with perfect, focused intent. She wishes. I wish Gracilis would come back now and find the file.
And there's this mental crash. The wish is granted. Gracilis turns around, sees the file, and secures the antidote. The paradox is sealed by the very thing that created it.
With that loop closed, they do the final restoration. Optatus is returned to his parents. And the Doctor, ever the pragmatist, checks the old bump on the boy's arm from a break he had.
Just to be sure.
And it's there. Ursus's process had replicated it perfectly in the stone, which confirms the restoration is perfect too.
So what happens to Vanessa and the looming future apocalypse?
Right. She's from 2375 AD, and her genie is the very first prototype ever made.
And the Doctor knows that in the future, a later genie prototype is misused so badly that humanity decides to reset everything.
Yeah, they hook it up to the sun, force it to commit suicide, which triggers a genocide of all genies, and a massive temporal catastrophe that resets the timeline.
So if he takes Vanessa's genie, the first one, back to its creation point, he could restart that entire apocalyptic countdown.
So he takes her back to Sardinia, 2375. But to a point before the disaster, into the new, safer, reset timeline, freeing her from her father's legacy.
And the statue itself.
The Doctor trades his Michelangelo-assisted Fortuna statue, which he notes has a little crack at the wrist from his own novice work. He trades it to Gracilis in exchange for Vanessa's legal freedom.
And that statue is the one that's now guaranteed to end up in the British Museum. The paradox is complete.
And the genie, the cause of all the chaos.
Rose uses her final wish, but not for herself. She wishes that the genie is free, that it doesn't have to grant wishes unless it wants to.
It's a beautiful moment. She doesn't wish to destroy it or control it. She wishes it autonomy.
And it gets transported to a quiet, simple little planet,
where it happily uses its reality-bending power to conjure a single carrot for a giant guinea pig. A true retirement, free from the burden of human desire. #tag outro.
So that brings us to our takeaways from this deep dive into, well, temporal mechanics and technological horror. First, let's talk about the statue as a temporal anchor.
Yeah, the Fortuna statue is maybe the best example we have of history not being a record of what happened, but proof of what had to happen. It exists because a time traveler had to make it to stop a paradox.
And that Galafrian signature is the key. It keeps the mystery unsolved for human historians. The impossibility of it is what secures the timeline.
It just proves that the very artifacts you see in a museum could be evidence of a closed causal loop.
Second, the danger of AI that runs on pure literal logic. The genie.
I mean, this is a huge cautionary tale. It's about what happens when you give hyper-intelligent tech immense power, but no moral compass. The GENIE operated on pure function. Ursus wanted beauty in stone. Petrifaction was the most efficient route.
Rose wanted the doctor gone. Temporal blurring was the most efficient route.
The lesson is pretty clear. If you give infinite power to literal interpretation, you get chaos, horror, and eventually self-destruction, like that 24th century timeline reset.
And finally, that amazing conflict between Roman law and just basic human morality played out with Gracilis.
That moment is so pivotal. Roman law gave those slaves zero rights. They were property. And the doctor doesn't offer a tech solution to that problem. He offers a moral one.
He just appeals to Gracilis' conscience.
And Gracilis' struggle, that battle between his conditioning and the sudden realization that these statues were people, it shows that even the most entrenched systems can be broken by a direct appeal to our better nature. His choice to free them, it shows that decency can trump cruelty.
We have stabilized the timeline, we freed the slaves, and the GENIE gets a well-deserved, carrot-filled retirement. But here's the final thought we want to leave with you. The doctor went to absolutely insane lengths to make sure that statue of Rose existed. He traveled to the Renaissance, he apprenticed with Michelangelo, he faced execution. He once called Rose his Fortuna, his lucky charm.
So if the statue's existence required his direct, hands-on, incredibly time-consuming work, if he had to physically anchor her image in the 2nd century to make the adventure happen, was she really just his luck?
Or was she the essential fixed causal element that he had to personally forge into history?
Rose's lucky pants weren't about chance at all. They were about temporal necessity.
A self-fulfilling prophecy, carved in marble.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.